All right, so Oklahoma has hired an offensive coordinator. Listen, y'all know who it is. It's the name that's been thrown out for several weeks now. And Ben Arbuckle, come on down, come to the Sooners, bring back the air raid offense. Guys, before we talk about it, before we discuss it, I need to hear from y'all. So join the discussion, jump in the comments below. Today, we're going to talk about not only what this means for Oklahoma, but next steps for Oklahoma, what it could mean in terms of transfer portal targets and exits, along with guys that we could be looking at on the recruiting trail. If you haven't already and you guys are new to the channel, make sure you wipe your feet, hit that like, hit the subscribe button all off season. We're talking about transfer portal and recruiting news. So make sure you guys tune in because we're going to be covering it. So all right, Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator at Washington State, has decided to take the move to be the OC at Oklahoma. And this has kind of been the name that a lot of people expected. It got weird in the final hours. You heard a lot of maybe, hey, Oklahoma's pivoting. It might be a Joe Craddock or a Faulkner out at Georgia Tech. But no, like everybody did the flight tracker. You saw it kind of transition back to Wazoo. People were kind of like, all right, going to be Arbuckle. That's where kind of the intel was sitting. So good news there is Oklahoma picks up Ben Arbuckle, who develops quarterbacks pretty well, right? You look at what he did with Cam Ward at Incarnate Ward, goes to Washington State, gets John Mateer, who was right down the street from Jackson Arnold, and he's this season thrown for 3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. This is a guy that he's a gunslinger, and he had 1,000-yard running back too. Like I think a lot of people assume that needed to have 1,000-yard running back. He had an 800-yard quarterback that ran. He had a 735-yard running back. A lot of people think that Arbuckle's system doesn't allow for a ton of running. And although I think we looked at Craddock as a guy that, hey, he brings in that running system that we would want. Arbuckle's system allowed Mateer to run for 826 yards and then Washawn Parker to rush for 735 and then also had another running back run for 241 yards. So the system allows for running. I don't know if it's as favorable as Craddock's, but you could have a pretty dual threat system here. Now, the question is, what does Arbuckle bring to Oklahoma? This year, he had the number 22 overall offense, 440 yards per game, which is a plus 117.9 increase from where Oklahoma is at 322.5, coming in at number 121. That puts them above Georgia, Texas Tech, Ohio State, USC. At times, they were above Oregon and Texas, if that kind of tells you a little bit more about Arbuckle's offense. Rushing offense, number 20, or passing offense, number 24th in the country, 268.8 yards per game. Rushing offense, number 46th in the country, 177.8. Scoring offense, they come in at number 12 at 36.8 points per game, which puts them above Ohio State, Tennessee, Colorado, Oregon, Alabama. Just kind of give you a little bit of intrigue at where they're at. And then third down offense, they're about 39th in the country, coming in about 43%. So you look at it and say, like, this offense for Ben Arbuckle has been pretty successful. He's just the wild card because he's a little bit younger. It's an air raid offense. Not a lot of people believe if the air raid offense is going to work in the SEC. So going to be interesting to see, how things are navigated there in that sense. But kind of looking at what's next for Oklahoma and Ben Arbuckle in terms of just kind of like your overall staff, right? So Ben Arbuckle's here. He's got to go build a staff. I think a lot of people are assuming at the time of recording this video that Bill Bedenbaugh and Emmett Jones are going to be returning, right? That's what it looks like. So you look at, well, what is he going to go out there and have to hire? Well, he is a quarterbacks coach, right? So you're not going to go out and hire another quarterbacks coach. If Kevin Johns wants to stay on staff, maybe he's an analyst / QB coach. So maybe you get two kind of heads in there to kind of develop your quarterbacks, but he's going to be looking at a tight ends coach. And probably the most intriguing hire at that position would be Lepek out at Kansas State. Remember, right now he currently has Lincoln Cure, a 5-star tight end currently committed to the Wildcats. So not saying if you get Brian that you get, Lincoln Cure, but he obviously has proven that he is a good recruiter. He can develop tight ends out there at Kansas State. They've used their tight ends pretty well out there. So that's kind of a name that everybody's watching, but obviously there could be other names that pop up for the tight end coach. Running backs coach is kind of the one that, we don't know. right? Like, you don't really have a good feeling about this one of where it's going to sit because DeMarco's loved, it feels like, amongst, that OU program. But OU fans, I mean, alike, feel like DeMarco's not getting the job done. When it comes to recruiting, he does a really good job. But when you look at development and, kind of splitting time with players, some of it just doesn't make sense. So, will DeMarco return? That's something we have to see. Maybe, he brings Arbuckle, wants to bring in his own guy. I don't know what else is out there. If DeMarco decides to take an NFL job or if he gets another college job, like, does the staff kind of like push him to take it? That's just something we're going to have to find out in the next couple of days. But for sure know you're needing a tight ends coach. That's what you're going to see probably Arbuckle go out there and tackle first. And then you got to look at what you have in the current room. So Arbuckle's got to figure out, what does this personnel look like? And do they fit what I want to do at Oklahoma? So he's going to look at the quarterback room. I have a feeling Jackson Arnold could fit really well in the system. So we'll have to see if Jackson Arnold is a guy that he wants to keep. And even if Jackson Arnold wants to return to Oklahoma at this point, which when his interview with Eric Bailey after the LSU game, it sounded like it was a possibility. So we'll have to kind of see what's going to happen there. But, you look at the wide receivers and the offensive linemen and the running backs, like, Arbuckle's got his hands full. Like, he's got to meet with these guys, figure out who he wants to keep, make them a priority to keep them from going to the portal. And then he's got to look at the portal and figure out, do I want to bring in a John Mateer if he hits the portal? Or do I want to bring, which is his quarterback from Washington State, do I want to bring in some more running backs, some more wide receivers, some more offensive linemen, right? He's got to go in and figure all that out, and he's got to do it in a short period of time because over the next couple of days, you're going to see even more guys hit the portal, and you want to get a head start on that, which is why Oklahoma's made this hire pretty relatively fast. And I feel like knew who they wanted to hire for the past week or so. They just didn't make the offer until just recently. And so now you look at, okay, what does the recruiting trail look like? Because you lost Kevin Sperry in the 25 class. Do you think Ben Arbuckle goes out there and attacks a guy in the 24 class or in the 25 class? And I'll just say this. I have been on the long-standing tree that whoever comes in this 25 class as a quarterback probably never plays meaningful snaps for Oklahoma because you're not getting that elite 5-star or high 4-star talent at the quarterback position in this 25 class. And, you could get an in-state kid, but I feel like a lot of those in-state kids are going to want to take their opportunities at the Georgia Techs or the Kansas or Texas State, or if, hey, Ficklin even ends up at Texas State. Now, he does have a quarterback currently committed at Washington State and still Pizzella. So we'll have to see if maybe he wants to follow him over. But I'm not going to say that the staff is going to push super hard for another quarterback in this 25 class. I would imagine they'd probably hit the portal if they can try to keep Michael Hawkins, Jackson Arnold, and Brandon Zerbug, at least two of those guys, right? They'll probably just go to the portal for one more. So I want to hear from y'all. Ben Arbuckle is the hire. We know who our OC is. So hopefully the offense gets better, make offense great again. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are, and we'll catch you guys next time.